Hello and welcome everyone to another Rust-based Designs with Grams. Today I'm bringing you the Expansive design. The Expansive design features a cost of less than 10,000 stone each level and a defense of at least 8 C4. The strong function of this base is that it grows with you and does not only begin as an excellent starter base, but also a professional in-game base. What this does is that it allows you both and your group to jump ahead in the beginning stages of Rust by not having to waste materials to create an endgame base. This is accomplished by you not having to be required to waste resources. The resources are wasted when you create a base temporarily on the basis of planning to create a completely different one. The base concepts for this design starts with 8 C4. When expanding, 14 C4, 20 C4, and even more as you grow even further on. What I like about this base is not only the defense, but the strategy that gets incorporated into the construction of this base by natural design. For example, the basic door setup makes it so you can shoot players by your front door, not allowing them entry. All entry doors in and out of this base requires door access to get inside, which prevents anyone from being able to sneak inside. Yes, that means no more will you have to worry about leaving your doors open at all. And even more, this base has multiple vantage points to shoot any player skulking around your base. You've seen what this base has to offer now, so let's begin the building process. One thing I would like to point out to you guys before I start building this is that the foundations, I really want to clarify how you are able to expand them and add more and more layers onto this base before you have to start building upwards. So you guys understand the materials are required, some problems that you're going to run into, so you guys are at least prepared. So let me go ahead and start placing these foundations. Where you want to begin is start with a Zelda symbol. This is going to be the center of your base where you're going to end up placing ladders, ladder hatches, your main furnaces, chest beds, and everything else. You can also have this as the beginning phases of your shit shack if you decide to. So if you want to, you always can just set up some walls here if you're doing a fresh wipe, and you guys don't really have to worry about the building process at all while you gather some more materials so you don't die 15 times during your travels. If you're ready to expand, all you need to do is place a square foundation off of one side, build a triangle off that square, make sure you don't upgrade these two, you remove the square, and then you just come back with a triangle. You just want to make that line go a little bit further to where it just overlaps your other sides by about half of a length. So this triangle, you see this full length, it's like half of it that's sticking over, just like that. You want to do that for each side. This doesn't take a lot of materials in order to do so, so that's why I really like this. You don't have to destroy 17 different foundations in order to get your right lines and right diameters and lengths and all. You just kind of just do one. It's pretty simple. If you guys want to, you guys also can add 2 square foundations and then a triangle, unlike the one I did here, and then it'll end up aligning these triangles with each other so they'll end up facing the other direction. If you guys want me to show you, you just place 2 square foundations and a triangle. I'm not doing this for this purpose because it ends up not taking away the strategy effect of all the doors blocking people from being able to enter and exit. As you see, it'll end up expanding yours about 1 foundation even sooner, as you see here. But however, if you wanted to, you can add now single doorways to and from, so you can just walk in and out. People can then sneak inside of your base. People can then open up and close your doors and everything else. So that's why I am just sticking it to the double door scenario that you saw there. If you don't like it, you guys can always just do what I just displayed with the 2 squares instead of just the 1. Let's expand these lines out even further. As you see, you're going to have this nice double wall and a simple triangle. You have straight walls, so people don't really notice that you guys have this double walled, and it takes at least each C4 to get into the center. And remember, this first layer takes less than 10,000 stone, or if not, only maybe a few hundred from the 10,000 mark. So it's actually relatively very cheap in order to create this first layer of a base with these strong defenses. And if you're worried about people jumping on top of your base, it only takes 10 C4 per layer, 10,000 stone per layer. However, you can also create your foundations a little bit higher, so you guys don't really have to worry about people jumping inside of your base from the roof and getting an easy raid. So, in the case scenario, you would just create your foundation up here. And then when you start creating your walls, as you see, even if they have another player, they're not able to just jump on top. They need to create one elaborate tower of people in order to get up there. From that point, I think you guys were already screwed from the beginning because you have like 6 people ready to raid you and trying their best. When you guys are ready to go ahead and expand this even to the 3rd layer, all you need to do is go off to one of these sides where you see that tiny clipping there in the corners, and place a square foundation and repeat what you saw earlier. However, you're only going to be repeating this on one side. You don't go this on every single side because it ends up not layering correctly, it ends up being confusing, and it doesn't really add up well. As you see there, that's where you should be beginning with. Let's place our triangle foundations and we'll go all the way around in a circle. You're going to end up having these large gaps on the left and right. That's not really something that you should be concerning yourself with because there are many ways in order to get this perfectly straight, because if you want to, you guys can have your foundations even. However, I like the gaps because what that does, it allows me to place high external stone walls in between. It also allows me to place additional foundations if I want more space and everything else. And what I mean by that is that I'm going to fly a little bit above like this. As you see those large gaps, you're able to actually place a high external stone wall inside of those gaps. So if you guys want a lot more defense, you guys can always put that inside there and not really have to worry about anything. However, if you're not at the level or willingness to spend that much stone for some high externals and stuff, go ahead and you guys can just place triangle foundations like so. You don't really have to worry about anything, and this just adds another 2c4 difficulty in order to get into your base. So I'm going to remove this 3rd layer and move on. I've removed that 3rd layer, so this is a lot easier to show you guys how to build up your base. If you guys are starting with a shit shack and obviously you don't have the levels and the requirements for double doors, ladder hatches, and everything else, especially right off the bat, what I would recommend is that you build it of a material that you were able to destroy kind of easily if you guys are an active player, so you guys can build the proper materials that you want to have at a later time. If you guys want to build a ladder hatch, where you want to begin is setting up your walls for the outside. So set up your walls like so, and then you want to start with a floor triangle like this, and then you start with the floor frame. From here you can always add your ladder hatch and your tool cupboard like so. Give yourself some access, set up a basic wall here so it blocks everything off. It doesn't matter if you have it from the inside facing out or outside facing in. If they're going to be raiding your base, probably they're just going to be using C4 to knock down your walls anyway. And it is a low cost base, so you don't have to worry about having your base actually be removed from yourself if you're getting looted or raided or the sort. From here, go ahead and start setting up some wall frames here in the center, here like so, and you can start setting up some single doors like here and here. I'm going to fly above so you guys can see where these things are going, and I'm also going to set up some basic walls so it's a lot easier to illustrate where things are supposed to go. I'm going to set up a wall here and there. There we go. As you see, that's what you're going to end up with. You got your front door here, you got a second door, you got a double door here, and you got one right here too. You'll be able to open up your ladder hatch and go up to your next floor if you wanted to. I'm going to get out a no clip so you guys are able to see this at a personal view. Remember, the only way in and out of the space is if they actually have door access. So when I place down these doors, originally you'll be able to pass through just fine like so. However, once you set up this, it takes away a little bit space that you are required, and you won't be able to fit through no matter how many times you try to sprint into this doorway. It won't put you through. Not until you close the door like so. It'll just pop you right on through. You don't have to worry about anything. From here, if you are setting up your doors like you saw I had earlier, in the base and you want to have it to where it has that strategy, go ahead and have this door open inward towards your base, like so, and have this door face outward. So you're able to shoot people by your front door. You can also take cover, and you can do pretty much anything you want without people sneaking into your base, and it'll always push them out. This is pretty much your first floor 100% completed. I'm not going to create the second floor that you saw in the other base because all it was a layer of honeycombing, and that's really it. So I'm gonna finish up these walls. There we go, I finished setting up all of my walls. I'm just gonna place some basic floors here so you guys are able to see on the inside of what you guys should be ending up with after you're done placing them all. If you have anything different, chances are you probably accidentally missed one of the steps previously. Hopefully it's not too late for you guys to change that. There's my front door, there's my ladder hatch, and I have it all walled off inside for my protection for my tool cupboard. Now, normally, as I said before, I would always make your base 3 stories or higher. For this instance, I'm just going to skip the honeycomb layer because it's pretty self-explanatory. Just create some walls, and that's really about it. And then go up to your 3rd floor for some basic honeycombing. I'm going to pretend I'm on the 3rd floor so I don't end up wasting some of your time. Let's go ahead and start adding some wall frames. You want to have one go out in every direction. If you don't have them go out in every direction, you will be forced to be stuck with one side and not access all areas of your base for defense. Now, this thing is a little tricky because you got to have these pillars for the wall frame right in the right angle. As you saw before, if I stand over here and try to get an angle, it just turns red and I won't be able to place it. But if I stand over here, it magically works. Don't ask me why, but it does. Make sure you don't place your wall frames on top of this ladder hatch in the corners, because once you place that down, you will not be able to place them pretty much on either of the walls. You're going to end up having to destroy it. Place a door in the center of each one of these, as you see in the center here. And I'm going to put one on this 3rd side as well. If you have them off in the corners like so, when you open up the doors, they're going to know where you are. Additionally, getting in and out is going to be a lot more difficult than if you just put it in the center. I'm going to set up some basic walls so you guys are able to see what it's like and where these door frames are really supposed to go, because when you guys just see a bunch of lines in the sky, it doesn't really add up well. You guys can't see it well. So I'm going to add in all these walls and everything so you guys are better able to see where things should be. Let me just place this wall here real quick, and oh, I already placed them all. So this is what your product should be. As you see, you have these little doorways everywhere that you're able to go through, stand on top of your ladder hatch, and you see these little doorways. Place your doors, make sure they open out towards you at all times. Never have them open towards the double door area down here. If you have them open up towards that small gap, you will not be able to enter and exit these doors. You're going to have to pick up the doors or completely destroy them if you're not able to. As you see, if you have them open outward like that, you'll be able to fit through when you close your door. If you have it face the other direction, you're going to be wasting your time. I'm going to place down all these doors so you guys are better able to see where all the directions are supposed to go if you guys happen to not understand what direction to put it in. I finished placing all the doors so you guys are able to see where everything should be. Let's go ahead and start adding in some floor triangles on the top layer like so. On each side, you want to have it come out towards like that on each side. You can go around. They'll clip around just fine. They'll attach. You won't lose stability. You don't have to worry about people knocking it down because the stability on it is pretty strong. If you have them open up like that, you can start placing your walls and your extra supports. I'm going to place some doorways here because I like to be able to see down with it, because if I add some windows, I won't be able to do that. So I'm going to add doorways like so, just so I can have a little bit of better perspective when I'm trying to look around the corners of my base or anyone lurking around. I'm not also going to add the extra door like I did in my first base that you saw, which was located right here to enter and exit this area. I believe having a little extra space does something for your mentality, so it doesn't look so bad in general to enter and exit your base. After you're done placing all your doorways, just place a wall like so and cover these up. You can go all the way around with your base, but remember, once you start placing your doors, you won't be able to cut around like this. Reason why is because if you want all your doors to face outward. When you have your doors face outward and away from you, what that does is it allows you to have a little bit more of a defense, so you guys won't be able to have the door push you away or anything, so you won't be accidentally being cut outside. So for example, say if I place my door opening towards me, and as you see, now I need to go around the door in order to shoot someone, and I'm limited in which direction I can go. And if I happen to panic because I just happen to get shot from over there and I just panic and I press the button, next thing you notice, you just screwed yourself and you're locked outside. That's why I say your doors should always be opening outward, just in case of any of those scenarios hit. I'm going to quickly place down all these doors opening outward, and I'm going to go ahead and skip to when they're finished. I just finished placing all of my doors on the outside. I just want to clarify that you do not have to place any of the doors like so. If you guys want to, you guys can always place windows. You can always just put extra ladder hatches out there for quick entry and exit into your base and everything else. I'm only doing a few suggestions on what I like and what works for me, so hopefully it works for you as well. When you're ready to place down some chests, because you start noticing that your space is very limited inside of here, especially if you start getting grouped players. This is where I mean like the expansion really does take play, because as you go further, you have this area to place down and play around and tinker with. So I'm going to place down a shelving here, and you want to make sure that the shelving is in the right spot. If you don't, it's going to be kind of stuck and you won't be able to get around corners. You won't be able to defend your base very well. You can place down up to a maximum of 2 shells per siding. And one thing I want to point out before you guys start placing down the shelving on the outside like so, is that remember that there's only a 2c4 wall until people are able to go inside of your base like so and just blow up open the wall, and they'll have access to your furnaces and chests. I want you guys to know about that, because once you expand later on, you'll have a extra 8c4 requirement on this wall. That's why I say the expansion is very, very well done, because once you start creating the foundation like so, which I'm just going to use a small example. I understand I'm doing the front door, so this is not the most opportune way of demonstrating this. I'm going to build up some of the walls, because as you would see in honeycombing effects and everything else a little bit later, you would end up having this effect here. They're not all going to be facing the right direction, because I want you guys to see how many C4 and everything else it takes in order to actually get to it as you guys expand further. As you guys see, if you go through that wall here, I'm going to replace it real quick if I happen to not be able to. Here we go. It's going to end up, the raiders are going to see this wall outside here. It's going to take 2, 4, 6, 8 in order to get to the inner layer of your base to get access to your chest. That's why I say the expansion is really, really suggested, and it's really strong, especially for later groups, because you can keep adding more and more layers in the defense, and as you add more layers, you can also add more doorways like so to go into the extra layers. As you do that, you gain more space for loot, you gain more bed space, you gain more abilities to function within your base. You can also add additional layers onto it, so it creates it even more formidable against your enemies. Let's get back on topic and start placing down these shells in the right spots like you saw. You can place up to 2 shells on each wall. Once you have this, you want to make sure it's butt up perfectly against the wall. If you don't, it'll end up being a little bit out of the way to where it becomes a nuisance, really. I'm going to place it like so. Well, that's close enough for now. When you enter and exit, you're not going to have the ability of crouching around the doors and such, which you'll notice is a little bit of a pain. And if you want to enter and exit, you can just do that and open and close your door. As you see, you'll be able to pop through right to the other side. no problems whatsoever. If you happen to have the problem of not being able to fit through the door because it keeps pushing you off to the side like that, you can't get around it, make sure when you open up the door, oops, let me redo that. If you guys start having that problems where you guys aren't able to open up the door and such, make sure you stand in the center of the door where you see the crack here in the center. Open it up and you'll appear right here if you happen not be able to open up your doors right. Once you're ready to place down your chest, which I'm just going to get a bunch of them real quick, place them down sideways. Don't have them stick out towards you, otherwise you're going to have to jump over them and it's going to be a real pain. I'm going to go ahead and place down only 3 of them on here if I can fit them. I'm not very much the best person at placing down chests in the most opportune occasions. I also want to point out something small with the ladder hatch below so you guys are able to see something cool that you can do with some extra chests. See, you're able to fit, you can probably fit 8 chests here. I fit only 3. I'm not exactly the best at placing them. Over here on one side you can always add in some extra furnaces or such if you want to protect your bed so you don't really have to worry about people destroying it or raiding from the 2nd floor or something going on with this. You can always add your bed on top of the ladder hatch. I understand it's a little bit difficult to place it, however you can place it right on about here. I have it located, as you saw it turn blue for a second. I have it in my base right in here. As you see, I have my bed located right on top of that ladder hatch. Small thing that I said that you can do with your ladder hatch is that you can actually stack chests on top of each other inside of any base. How you can do that is simply just creating a wall that's like nearby a ladder hatch like this. If you actually create that wall there, you can fit up the ladder hatch, however it is very difficult. Meaning it's a little bit too difficult to actually have for functionality purposes, so I don't recommend it. But if you happen to have another base or another section where you're going to have a wall that holds over this a little bit, just put a chest like so, where it takes up some space like this. Remember, you can always destroy ladder hatches if you make the walls out of twigs and everything and be able to place it. You're normally not able to place this chest on top. You open up your ladder hatch though, it clips apart from each other, and as you see, you're able to place it just fine. And you can even place it even higher as you go even higher with the walls and actual ladder hatches and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and close that. As you see, it works pretty well that you can stack chests like that. That's just a small little hint trick thing that I happened to find out over my time of playing Rust, and I hope you actually enjoyed that small little hint. And remember, normally people will not be able to boost up to the 2nd floor and access your loot room. I did skip a layer of honeycombing that I really require you guys, or recommend to you guys, that you guys should have within this base. I'm going to add a roof, and I'm going to start showing you guys how you can add, kind of hide the fact that you have double walls on the top, so people are less likely to see that you have extra defenses inside of yours. So I'm going to add the small roof on here, and I'm going to show you guys how to hide that. All I did here was just add a little ceiling onto here, but if somebody has a mountaintop, a rock, or something of the sort, it just starts building upward, they'll be able to rocket your base from the top, and because they're going to start seeing this double wall here. And they're going to start aiming for like corners like here and there, so they can knock out like 4 walls on your top, be able to raid tower it and stuff like that. If you guys want to avoid it so they aren't able to see it, so they're less likely to do that, I recommend just setting some low walls just on the outside like this. I understand it gives it away a little bit because these corners do cross and intersect like this. But however, if they're standing on top and they're facing the right direction, which they should be facing more like that, they're not going to really notice, because remember, the average person on Rust, they're not exactly the brightest of them. So as you see, you're able to just place these around just fine, and as you place them down just on the outside here, it just blocks it so they aren't able to see it. Come on, there we go. They're not able to see the large crack on the top, and they're probably not going to start aiming for the rockets unless you have somebody who actually notices your angles crisscross a little bit. They're like, wait a minute, that's not natural. And you can always add one more layer right here or so you guys are able to see it a little bit better to what your result will end up being if you do it all the way around. So it's going to be really fun for you guys to start creating this base. As you create the extra layers on the outside and everything else, you guys will be able to add even more defense, more space to build, and as you expand even further and further, and with more players, you'll gain more space, more loot, and everything else. I really like this base. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you guys like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. I love hearing from my community, and as always, I want to wish you luck out there in that jerk-infested world that is Rust.